Alright, this is going to be a spoiler review for Scream 5, so if you have not seen Scream, then get out. That's all I have to say about that. Now, I'm going to go into deep dive spoilers because I really can't get into the film about it without getting into it, so this is your final warning. So, I went and saw Scream 5 with my friend. We're both fans. In fact, I watched all of the movies recently, about a month ago, pumped for the sequel, and I did not care for the sequel, Scream 5 or Scream Reboot, whatever it's called. It's a little bit underbaked, in my opinion. We start off with Tara. She is a young girl living in a smart house, and she's being threatened by Ghostface in the beginning. He attacks her, but he doesn't kill her. He doesn't finish her off, and it draws her sister, Sam. Sam basically lives in California, so her and her boyfriend Richie decide to go to see her and support her, but she's got like her own circle of friends too, and her circle of friends are very protective of Tara because Sam abandoned them when they were young. And of course we find out the first main problem I have with this story. It's that Sam is Billy Loomis'S daughter, which doesn't really make any sense because Billy was a teenager in the first film and he only dated Sid to get close to her so he could get revenge because Sid's mother was a housebreaker and broke his parents' relationship. So to have Billy like be younger than that and then impregnate someone and then ditch her would almost make him like kind of culpable too. Like he's kind of like it doesn't make any sense in terms of his character. It would have been better if it was like Stu's illegitimate daughter or something. I don't know. But yeah, so that's the first thing. They bring back Skeet Ulrich to do these flashback scenes, which the first one was great, but then they did it like 5 times, and I was getting sick of seeing him every time. You know, like that was like the main emotional arc besides being a good sister to Tara. And honestly, for a good 75% of this movie is really great. I mean, like the opening scenes are good. All the kills leading up, the hospital scene, one of the best kills in the franchise. Like really heart-wrenching, up the stakes. They killed Dewey, you know, like they literally like fucked him up, you know, like. And I was like, oh my god, this movie's crazy. And then immediately after, the movie just falls apart. The movie decides to recycle the setting of the first house. The literal last act of this movie is just trash. It just literally it felt so on the nose. I mean, characters were monologuing like hell. So basically the killers are Amber and Richie. And Amber reveals herself by shooting Liv in the head and then taking everyone hostage, and then she tries to shoot at Sid and Gail, and it was a really bad scene. I don't like that actress. She didn't do a good job. She just didn't sell it as the villain. Jack Quaid does a way better performance. He seems a little bit unhinged. You can see he's having fun, but his motivation is also weird too, because they're just basically fans that want to create another true crime event so that they can have the Stab movies become better because they're on Stab 8 and they didn't like that one. So there was a really weak motivation for the characters. So overall the story is the weakest part of the movie. The characters are great. I really like the new circle of friends. There's like the Jock twins that are Randy's niece and nephew. She's a film nerd and he's like a jock, but he's like a sensitive jock. And then there's like the daughter, there's the son of that lady deputy who's now a sheriff of Woodsboro. A lot of interesting little new characters, but they all get like killed or they don't get killed. And the movie also smelled a little bit of wokeness because I noticed all the male characters ate it and like too many other characters survived, which is weird for a Scream movie, right? But yeah, that last act in the house was pretty awful. I mean, like they had like a confrontation scene, they cut away from it, and then there's just a random knife sitting by the door for her to grab so that she can stab her boyfriend. And man, the movie just, yeah, that whole third act was just, and then there's a scene where Amber gets up after getting shot like 3 times and set on fire. And yeah, so like the movie was just really, they should have tried to write a way for them to not have guns or something, like maybe California gun laws or something. But yeah, just that Sydney didn't barely in the movie too. Like they made it seem, okay, the one thing that really bothered me was that one of the trailers has Ghostface say like, "Hello, Sydney, it's an honor." That doesn't happen in the movie because "it's an honor" is a line used for Dewey. They just edited the fucking dialogue to make it look like the guy was trying to lure Sydney back like in part 3, but Sydney doesn't even feel like she's part of it. She's just like a side character. She's like, I'll just tag along because I don't want these guys to die or something. And then like Gail barely does anything either. Like they should have just killed them both or just had something happen, you know, like they killed each other or something, you know, like in the last final stand, you know, like a brutal death. Like Gale like goes down fighting or something, because the same thing happens. The movie recycles the same plot too. Like Gale gets shot, you think she's out of the movie, and then Sydney gets stabbed, you think she's out of the movie, and then like they bring back the character's not there, that's tied up in the upstairs, and then just didn't feel like, and it felt like they had most of a good movie, and then they decided to just have random stuff happen at the end. Anyone could have been a better villain than the two they picked, really. I really dug the character. I really like the black humor. There's some black humor sprinkled throughout that I really enjoyed. Like there's a scene where the guy's like, "Have you seen my girlfriend?" And his sister's like, "She's probably dead." There's really great black humor throughout the entire movie. They really got that. The meta stuff at the end just didn't really quite hit. And, you know, there's the obvious, like, for Wes, you know, like, stuff like that. But overall, I just, yeah, the Scream sequel somehow was worse than Scream 4 because it's just, the story was just not really there. They didn't really have a good, thorough line. They could have done anything else. They could have had, they literally could have went in any other direction. Just the last, like, you can tell that Wes Craven really does craft really great movies because his home invasion scenes are great, but the last home invasion sequence in this movie just felt really rushed and all over the place. I didn't feel anything. There was no thrill. They kept cutting away. A lot of monologuing. Just really weak motivation for the main characters, main villains, I mean. And yeah, there's they didn't use enough technology or anything. It just, yeah, the whole movie just was really good up until the ending. And I just didn't like the Billy Loomis stuff either because it just doesn't make sense narratively. Now you think about it, like when I was watching the movie I didn't really notice, but after the movie I'm just like, so like he had another like Hispanic girlfriend before he dated Sydney or something, like it's crazy. So yeah, I mean it was a good effort, but they definitely did not stick the landing. So I give Scream 5 a 5 out of 10.